The most chilling aspect of this case isn't that a young pilot disappeared over the ocean. It's that his final radio transmission was followed by 17 seconds of an unidentified metallic scraping sound that has never been explained, and despite one of the most extensive searches in Australian aviation history, not a single piece of wreckage was ever found. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're fascinated by aviation mysteries and unexplained disappearances, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on for more incredible stories like this one. October 21st, 1978 began as an ordinary Saturday evening at Moorabbin Airport in Melbourne, Australia. The sun had set just after 6:40 p.m., and the clear skies promised excellent flying conditions for the night ahead. Among the pilots preparing for evening flights was 20-year-old Frederick Valentich, a young man with dreams of becoming a commercial pilot despite having accumulated only about 150 hours of flying time since earning his private pilot's license just over a year earlier. Valentich had rented a single-engine Cessna 182L, registration VHDSJ, for what he claimed was a routine flight to King Island in Bay Strait. He told flight officials he was going to pick up friends, though he would later change his story to say he was collecting crayfish. Neither explanation would prove to be true, and investigators would never determine his real reason for making the flight. What is certain is that at 6:19 p.m., Valentich took off from Moorabbin Airport with enough fuel for 5 hours of flying time, heading southeast across the treacherous waters of Bay Strait. Bay Strait, the body of water separating mainland Australia from Tasmania, has long been known as one of the most dangerous stretches of water in the southern hemisphere. The strait is notorious for its unpredictable weather, strong currents, and the numerous ships and aircraft that have vanished without a trace in its waters. For a relatively inexperienced pilot like Valentich, flying alone over Bay Strait at night represented a significant challenge, even under ideal conditions. As Valentich flew southeast, he maintained regular radio contact with Melbourne Flight Service. At 7 p.m., he reported having Cape Otway in sight, confirming his position as he continued toward King Island. The weather station at Cape Otway reported clear skies, excellent visibility, and light winds. Perfect flying conditions that should have made for an uneventful flight. But at 7:06 p.m., everything changed when Valentich made a radio call that would become one of the most famous and disturbing transmissions in aviation history. Melbourne, this is Delta Sierra Juliet. Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? Valentich's voice came through clearly to air traffic controller Steve Roby, who checked his radar and confirmed there was no known aircraft in the area. What followed was a conversation that would baffle investigators for decades and transform Frederick Valentich from an unknown student pilot into the center of one of aviation's most enduring mysteries. IAM seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000, Valentich reported, his voice beginning to show signs of confusion and concern. When asked to identify the type of aircraft, he responded, "I cannot affirm. It is for bright. It seems to me like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above." Controller Roby confirmed that there were no known aircraft in the vicinity, and no military aircraft were operating in the area. What happened next defied conventional explanation. Valentich reported that the unknown aircraft was approaching right now from due east towards me. And after a brief pause, his voice took on a tone of bewilderment and growing alarm. "It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game. He's flying over me 2-3 times, at a time at speeds I could not identify." The young pilot was flying at 4,500 feet, well within the range where any conventional aircraft should have been easily identifiable, especially on such a clear night. Yet Valentich seemed unable to make sense of what he was seeing. When pressed by the controller to describe the aircraft, his response sent chills through anyone listening. "It's not an aircraft." It is followed by an ominous 2-second silence. When a controller asked Valentich to describe what he was seeing, the pilot's response became even more disturbing. "As it's flying past, it's a long shape. It is before me right now, Melbourne." The pauses in his transmission suggested he was struggling to comprehend what he was witnessing. Then came perhaps the most unsettling part of the entire exchange. It seems like it's stationary. What I'm doing right now is orbiting, and the thing is just orbiting on top of me also. It's got a green light and sort of metallic, like it's all shiny on the outside. The description of a metallic object with a green light, moving in ways that seem to defy conventional aircraft capabilities, was unlike anything in the controller's experience. Valentich reported that the object had just vanished, only to reappear moments later, approaching from the southwest. Most alarmingly, he began reporting mechanical problems with his own aircraft. The engine is rough idling. I've got it set at 2324, and the thing is coughing. As the communication continued, Valentich's situation appeared to be deteriorating rapidly. When asked about his intentions, he replied that he planned to continue to King Island, but then delivered the words that would become his epitaph. "Ah, Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft." What followed those final words was perhaps the most mysterious aspect of the entire case. For 17 seconds, the radio remained open, transmitting a series of unidentified metallic scraping sounds that have never been satisfactorily explained. The sounds were unlike anything typically heard in aviation communications. Not the noise of an aircraft engine, not the sound of radio interference, but something altogether more sinister and inexplicable. At 7:12 and 49 seconds p.m., the transmission ended, and Frederick Valentich was never heard from again. The disappearance of Valentich and his aircraft triggered one of the largest search and rescue operations in Australian aviation history. Aircraft from the Royal Australian Air Force, civilian search planes, and ships from the Australian Navy scoured over 1,000 square miles of Bay Strait and surrounding areas. The search continued for 4 days, covering every possible area where the Cessna might have gone down, but no trace of the aircraft or its pilot was found. On October 22nd, searchers discovered an oil slick about 18 miles north of King Island, but analysis determined it had no connection to Valentich's aircraft. Despite the extensive search effort, which included both aerial reconnaissance and surface vessels equipped with sophisticated detection equipment, the Bay Strait had apparently swallowed the Cessna 182L and its pilot without leaving a single piece of evidence. The mystery deepened when several witnesses came forward with reports of unusual aerial phenomena in the Bay Strait area on the night of Valentich's disappearance. A plumber working on King Island reported seeing a green light with what appeared to be a small aircraft attached to it, descending rapidly toward the water. Other witnesses described strange lights moving in patterns unlike any conventional aircraft, corroborating aspects of Valentich's radio transmissions. 5 years after the disappearance, a piece of aircraft wreckage washed ashore on Flinders Island. The metal fragment was identified as an engine cowl flap that could have come from a Cessna 182, leading to speculation that it might be the first physical evidence of Valentich's fate. However, despite extensive analysis, investigators could never definitively confirm that the part came from VHDSJ, leaving even this potential clue shrouded in uncertainty. The official investigation, conducted by the Australian Department of Transport, concluded in May 1982 with a finding that would satisfy no one. The reason for the disappearance of the aircraft has not been determined. The report acknowledged that the outcome was presumed fatal, but offered no explanation for what had caused the disappearance or what Valentich had encountered in his final minutes. Theories about what happened to Frederick Valentich have ranged from the mundane to the extraordinary. Skeptics have suggested that the inexperienced pilot may have become disoriented in the darkness, possibly flying inverted and mistaking his own aircraft's lights reflected in the water for another aircraft. Others have proposed that he may have encountered drug smugglers and been shot down, or that he staged his own disappearance for unknown reasons. However, these conventional explanations struggle to account for several key aspects of the case. The multiple witness reports of unusual lights, the 17 seconds of unexplained metallic sounds, and most significantly, the complete absence of any wreckage despite one of the most thorough search operations in Australian aviation history. Today, more than 45 years after Frederick Valentich's disappearance, the case remains one of aviation's most compelling unsolved mysteries. A memorial plaque at Cape Otway Lighthouse marks the last confirmed location where Valentich was seen, serving as a reminder of a young man whose final flight took him into the realm of the unexplained. The Valentich disappearance continues to challenge our understanding of what is possible in our skies and our seas. Whether Frederick Valentich encountered something truly extraordinary that night over Bay Strait, or whether his disappearance can be explained by more conventional means, his case serves as a haunting reminder that even in our modern, monitored world, there are still mysteries that defy explanation and vanishings that leave no trace. If you found this aviation mystery as compelling as we did, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on. We explore the most intriguing, unexplained disappearances and mysteries from around the world, bringing you stories that challenge our understanding of what we think we know. Your support helps us continue investigating these incredible cases. Until next time, remember that some mysteries may never be solved, but they continue to remind us that our world still holds secrets waiting to be discovered.